In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a little indie arcade shooter called Jet Attack Move. For a little background, Jet Attack Move was originally a game mode for the yet-to-be-released roguelite survivor game Oscar Mike. However, it eventually became its own fully-fledged game, and that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, here's the order in which I'm going to do things, so without further ado, let's begin. Let's start with the menu. Over in the options section, you'll see at the top, orientation options. This feature was added in since some people couldn't rotate or orientate their device in the game, which was in portrait mode by default. Portrait landscape, vertical, horizontal, it's all pretty self-explanatory. Right below that, however, is the graphics. The only two settings are high and low, and they basically just have texture differences and some effects. However, on high, there is smoke and fire on planes that signify damage taken. Then there are the input options. Those options being fixed, tap, left, right, gameplay, and dynamic. For fixed, left, right, and dynamic, they are all virtual joysticks. Fixed and dynamic have the plane go in the specific direction you want it to, while left, right moves turns based on the current location of your aircraft while it's moving forwards. When using dynamic, simply anywhere on the left side of the screen is fair game, while it's locked in fixed. Tap goes in the direction you touch, while gamepad is for when you are using one for your device. Some controllers have compatibility and keybinds for on desktop. I use fixed, but use whatever you are most comfortable with. Now, difficulty scales the enemy health and sometimes, if applicable, enemy count. There is easy, normal, and extreme. I'll mention the scaling briefly on each game mode. The next option is linked to your input, aim assist. Tap is the only option without aim assist, and it nudges your aircraft while aiming at your enemy. There are low, medium, high, and the option for none of it. I use medium, but it depends on how much of that nudging you really want. The final option is to remove ads. It costs $2 in the United States, is a bit buggy, but does help the solo developer on the project do a win. Now, we are actually onto the game modes themselves. First off, UFO Attack. Originally, this was actually the F-22 spy balloon minigame that was going to be an Oscar Mike, but became Jet Attack Move, which I'm going to abbreviate to OM and JAM from now. However, the balloons were changed to UFOs like the Flying Saucer and a Flying Tic Tac? If you didn't know, this is based on real Navy UFO encounters where the UFOs were described as Tic Tacs. Well, that's just crazy, but anyway, let me lay out the basics of this game. There are 21 aircraft with different stats as I am writing this, and all are flyable immediately in UFO Attack, Time Trial, Dogfight, and SAM Survival. Other games have more restrictions and special aircraft, which I'll explain when we talk about them. I also should probably explain each button before I get back to the game modes. The speed button allows you to control your speed faster and slower. Your aircraft speed is also displayed, and if low enough, stall you for a bit or make you crash, except for the VTOLs, which let you hover. However, if you turn for a while on Afterburner, you can black out, which blocks your screen. The shoot button is pretty obvious, however if there is a number on it, then it is regenerative ammo, and will go on a longer reload if you completely shoot it all out. The missile button gives you 2 lock-on missiles, and if ran out, will go on a reload. Flares are the same too and are used to avoid missiles. Ejection is used when you have been shot down and make you lose 1 point instead of 2 if done in time. Score and time are also displayed. With that out of the way, let's explain the rules of this game mode. All of the game modes are 180 seconds long except for UFO Attack, as it is only a minute long, but a destroyed UFO is worth 1 point and gives you an extra 2 seconds. Difficulty scales UFO HP, and they have set random patterns of flight. You can constantly shoot without downtime, so you can just hold it down forever. Flares are useless here since enemies aren't hostile unless you crash into one and die. The map is specific to aircraft, green, blue, tan, and also ocean. The gameplay is really easy to understand and play. Next up, Time Trial. Flying through the green holes give you 1 point, and you fly through them looping around the map. Be careful not to overshoot or fly into the mountains. This is one of a couple mountain maps, and all lethal abilities are pretty much useless here. I don't think difficulty actually changes anything here. The game mode is the most casual out of all of them. Dogfight is a classic 1v1. Difficulty scales enemy accuracy and HP. You can select between 4 maps except when you are playing with the Reaper drone. Okay, so the balloon was too political, but this is fine? Whatever. If the flanker rams into you, you die. Anyway, this is a mighty fine game mode. Close air support only has some aircraft that are capable of CAS in real life. Missiles are replaced with either rockets or bombs. Humvees and SAMs are worth 1 point. Barracks, small watchtowers, and gas tanks are worth 2 points. Tanks and big watchtowers are worth 5 points. And water towers are worth 10 points. Difficulty is linked to SAM launches. Cool game mode as a reversal to the standard dogfighting. I think it's pretty obvious as to what SAM survival is when you see the gameplay. Now, you get 3 flares instead of 2, which is nice, but if you get hit by 3 missiles, you get shot down. Difficulty scales SAM launches by a lot, and is probably the easiest game mode for gaining score. Fun little game mode that can be very frustrating at times. Ship Attack is an interesting game mode. You fly a Junkers Ju-87 Stuka, carrying 3 reloading torpedoes instead of missiles. In this game mode, there are 2 constantly respawning warships and a constantly respawning carrier. All 3 give 10 points and have air defense. There is also a P-51 Mustang that flies around that will shoot at you and rewards you with no points when shot down. Difficulty scales enemy gunfire. Okay, time to open a whole new can of worms. Multiplayer. It's basically normal dogfight on desert, but lasts 300 seconds and you have to go up against a real player with F-22s. Now, I'm going to finally mention this on the right, Discord. In the Discord server, you can suggest features and hashtag suggestions, show bugs in the game in hashtag bugs, and send feedback in hashtag feedback. There are also a lot of other things here like news about the game as soon as it comes out. Highly recommend joining the server, link in description and game. Anyway, I brought this up since Quick Match sucks and I never see anyone play it. So I suggest going to the Discord server and looking for someone to play with in the multiplayer channel list. If you create a custom match, you get a 5-number code. Beforehand, I suggest finding someone to play with and then afterward putting the code in the server. If you are on the receiving end of the code, simply put it in above. The multiplayer is pretty bare bones, but it shows the potential of this game. Anyway, here's some quick gameplay before we move on. Third person is pretty interesting. It has the newer F-22 model, which is gorgeous, and has more control settings if you pause the game. High and low changes the water texture and adds damage effects. Sensitivity changes how much it turns with smaller movement inputs. Simple control stabilizes the aircraft to normal, while advanced lets you have more maneuverable control without it. Inverted controls make it so the vertical controls are reversed. There is also tilt, which is a gyroscope and allows you to turn by just rotating your device. I use advanced controls inverted and have the sensitivity at 1/4 since it's a little too much for me. Anyway, the difficulty either scales the tic-tac HP or doesn't do anything here. Has good potential, so I wonder where this will go. We are finally at the final game mode, except that the developer has been teasing 2v2. So we'll be talking about this, and then I'm going to wait for that and do first impressions. Now, Bomber Escort. You fly a P-51 Mustang, escorting B-17 flying fortresses. Your enemies are Stukas and BF-109s. The Stukas focus on bombers, and the BF-109s hunt you down. There are 3 bombers you need to protect, which have AA defenses, and each enemy is worth 1 point. Difficulty seems to scale enemy count. So, I am currently playing in the Jet Attack Move Beta, which is in browser. It's already came out for Android, but iOS is still verifying it, so
Time to try 2v2 dogfight, I guess. Take 6. Good. It kept on refreshing.
Future Hebos here. As you can tell, everything has suddenly become the worst quality possible. Before you leave, here's my apology. Unfortunately, I don't have a ukulele, so I'll actually explain myself. First of all, the audio mixing and voice recording by Apple is so terrible that I sound like I am drowning while fighter jets are buzzing around me. This was my 6th attempt at this recording because the game kept on refreshing in the browser. But the gameplay is quite literally dogfight but times 2. The game mode isn't too bad. However, it does show that the game needs a better menu considering it's like 1 pixel in the middle of the screen to access the game mode. However, considering the game gets updated every week, I bet everything will be polished and fine. Woke up this morning, saw this, so what it seems to be is a top view of the F-117 and the bomb site, and you guide bombs into targets. But now, it's time. Jet Attack Move is truly one of the games ever made by Duelwind. It has like 1 day of fresh content. Yeah, the amount of meat on the stick here is not that much. But to compensate, this game has actually pretty good replayability, especially when you just have about 5 minutes to do nothing before getting back to business. Also, the amount of content is always expanding weekly through updates. The game has only been out for half a year and is made by one person who is juggling between 2 projects, so slack and props must be given to the developer. The sound is pretty good, but there is no music yet. The game is less than 300 megabytes and can be played in the browser, so... Anyway, the controls are pretty decent for the most part, and you eventually get the hang of them for the most part. This game also has lots of bonuses like a fresh community and expanding popularity through social media. But there is one glaring problem, which is forced ads. It is a necessary evil, of course, that can be removed for only $2, but it does slow down gameplay a bit. Now, this game is going to be the first in the Hebos hand list of handhelds, yes, that is how it's pronounced, with a Hipster Score of 7 out of 10. Hey, what are you looking at? You know what? Raise that up by half a point. That's a 75% on hard-boiled eggs. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have gone down this path. Maybe I should have just stolen a review. Let's see. Apple. Sort by most critical. Alright, let's go. Crap. 1 star. I don't understand the ratings. This is a childish, bad graphics game that has no reality in dogfights. Quit writing your own reviews, developers. This is a total 0-star game. I understand where this person is coming from, but fun should always prevail against realism in a arcade shooter. And also, the graphics aren't even that bad. However, this is just a developer's style, and accusing the developers of making fake reviews is baseless. Terrible game. 1 star. The game is terrible because of the dogfight. The F-16 has aimbot. I don't know what to say, man. Just skill issue. Dogfight mode F-16 has literal aimbot. 2 stars. The dogfight mode enemy F-16 machine gun has actual aimbot. No way to evade or win against it. Misses take too long. As soon as it comes toward you, you already lose. Okay, I should probably actually address this. So you see, these 2 reviews are from early March, which is when the F-16 came out as an enemy jet. Now, the AI was pretty good, it was hard to defeat, but since then it has been nerfed and is much more easier to defeat with more refined controls. Also, I don't think you should review the game 1 and 2 stars because of that, because it's really just a skill issue. Controls, 3 stars. Controls are hard to use. Again, early March. Controls were not as refined as it is now, and also, there's a lot of buttons and they're in different locations, so I hope they just add like a HUD layout feature in the future. So now I'm going to read some more positive reviews from the App Store, so let's see. Great game, very pleasant surprise, 5 stars. This game is so much better than I could have ever expected. I downloaded this game think it was probably gonna be some super cheap game, but maybe fun. But I was somewhat wrong. It's really cool and fun, and you could tell there's love put in this game. The jets are super realistic, real iconic jets along with the super realistic sounds like some of the most iconic machine gun sounds. They're not all copy and paste like other cheap mobile games. There's variety. Some planes have stronger / faster guns, some are more agile than others. The only thing I kinda wish was in the game is stats, like which jets have more damage or fire, or what has more maneuverability, but at the same time I like the simplicity of not seeing stats. But I do hope the developers bring stats, saying your highest score for each mode and what jet you used. But if the devs don't add that because they want it more simple, I completely understand and am not complaining either way. Thumbs up. This is an interesting review and I completely agree with stats. I can't believe we don't have stats yet. This is probably like my #1 feature I want in the game. Love the game but needs tweaks. 5 stars. Overall, I love this game. Since you started putting early access on TikTok, all the new updates are great. The newer ones can a bit slowly than others, but I know you work really hard for them. One thing I would change is third-person mode. I think it should just be a camera change option in multiplayer and dogfight, other than a different map with higher qualities and third-person mode. One more thing, I also think a first-person mode would be cool. I like this review. First-person mode should probably be a feature in third-person mode. However, I think that game mode should be regulated to its own thing, because either top view would become obsolete in third-person the meta, or third-person would just be some obscure thing you never use. Also, third-person adds an extra dimension of going up and down, and that would probably cause problems if you're doing that in multiplayer. Okay, so now on to some Google Play reviews. 5 stars. Actually, this comment I posted on my second time I download this game. I deleted this game before because I think it's too simple and still have many drawbacks. Then, I know from TikTok that the developer are struggling to make this game more better. Now, I download it again and boom, it's actually a good game right now. For the developer, keep struggling and please always update your progress on TikTok. Thanks, Dev. Add. For the developer, please make an infinity time mode so don't need to click restart. This is a review I like because I was also in the same bridge at the beginning. While I was active in the community, I wasn't really playing it that much because there wasn't much to do. But over time, it did develop and get more stuff, and I did warm up to playing it more. I also think the developer being hands-on with the community and showing behind the scenes is definitely helping with the community aspect of this game. And also an infinity time mode is definitely something we will need and probably get in the future. Hopefully that section didn't bore you with people's reviews and opinions, but we are now on to the Let's give this review a good wrap. Now, don't let my C-tier review deceive you. This game is perfect as a mobile game and browser game. Play this game on the toilet, play this game at school until it inevitably gets blocked. It isn't innovating anything, just a fitting game for its niche. I recommend the game. If you want a grade, C+. Not much, but it's honest work. Rest in peace, Dave Brand. But I also have to wrap this video up too. It ended up being a bit longer than I expected, but I wanted to be thorough with my examination. I plan on reviewing Oscar Mike in the future too. I'll mainly be focusing on Rainbow Six mobile content when it soft launches and releases. I'll also continue the A Blank review series and some other miscellaneous videos and shorts. For the editing process, I ended up making this 3 gig video in a work or school week's amount of time in CapCut. All the game and social links are in the description below. Good game, and hopefully a good video. Hipster out. Or Toodles, because I did that last time.